Hey guys, Grizly here, and welcome back to my Noob's Journey video series. I start out today by making a couple changes to my deck. I am going to skip playing with the Merchant just because that part's boring and you probably don't care what cards I sold to buy new ones. So we're going to skip here to me going to my deck. And the first thing that I'm going to do, and actually I can't remember if I already made some changes. I might have. But nope, the first thing I do is going to add 3 Wrath of the Forest cards. After the suggestion by a viewer, I realized that would act as a pretty strong draw engine. Sorry, something caught in my throat there. And the second thing you're going to see me do is get rid of my 3 Here Be Monster cards, just because the same years as suggested that those are very situational cards, and it's true. I very rarely play them, and when I do play them, I usually don't need them. It's just basically because I can. So those were the only 2 really big changes that I made to this deck, this game. However, I will note them in the comments for this, or in the description of this video. Oh, and I do take out my Ogolth card just because, as I noted in one of my previous videos, really hasn't served me that well. It just kind of gets in the way. I rarely am in a position where playing it will change the game for me. My Shadow Knight cards do just fine on their own. Okay. So hopping into this game, I've made some changes to my deck. I'm pretty excited about this game, and I do turn music on again. So you see me get rid of you see me quickly get rid of one of my Brutalists, and start the game. Now I can't see. I don't think you guys can see in this video the name of my opponent on the bottom of the screen, as it says like it's his turn. But I have faced him before in one of my previous videos. I forget specifically which Elementalist he was, but he was one of the 3 that I beat, and I'm actually fairly certain that he was the one who quick surrendered in that very first deck building video. But I have definitely faced him before. I've never lost to an Elementalist, or at least I had never until this. So I had never seen. Or I definitely seen him before. I definitely had beat him before. And that'll be important later, getting into the game. You guys should prepare this as a pretty long game, but it is a good game. It's very close, and it's very exciting. So we see him throw out, this is pretty much the Elementalist starting move of throwing a Spark onto the field. Like I said, I've never seen an Elementalist not start with that move. He did surprise me playing a Brutalist. That's usually a wolf monster deck. So seeing seeing that card from this type of deck was just kind of threw me off a little. So you see me ditch my Woven Tracker, and the reason for that is because at this point I need to get more monsters on the field, and I've got that wolf pack or pack alpha card in my hand, and that's going to be very important to me. So you see me just chip away some health off that Brutalist, weakening it up so it'll be an easier kill later on. It is important to note that at this point he has enough energy to buff up his Spark cards, or his Brutalist if he so chooses. Using that much Shadow energy on the 1/1 monsters just is not really economical. So it would really surprise me if he did that, or it would have really surprised me if he did that. It's always hard to decide if I want to talk in the past or the present tense, because obviously I've played these games already. I don't do live commentary just because I kind of mutter to myself the whole time I'm playing, and I don't want to come across as completely insane. So he made the choice that I wanted him to make, which is he did have to sacrifice one of his 1/1 monsters to kill my pack wolf. And he will attack with his Brutalist here. So he does kill my wolf, but it leaves him with only one very weak monster on the field, and me with a significantly stronger monster ready to counter. So I'm in a pretty good position early in the game. I've got superior field position when it comes to allies. He hasn't played any trump cards, and at this point I don't know what to expect. You do see one of those Wrath of the Forest cards in my hand, which I was very excited to get that on the field. So I do chuck that down right away. And actually, having played with it, that will definitely serve as my draw engine. I mean, it takes, I think, 4. I think it has a durability of 4, so it's pretty durable. And anytime I lose allies, I get that extra card, and it definitely helps me out. I've ended up drawing like 2 to 3 cards in a single turn when they wipe out my field of allies, and it really helps you get that attack force back out. So if you're struggling for a draw engine and you're using a wolf or archer style deck, definitely get a Wrath of the Forest. Okay, so you see him throw down his Belladonna card, and at that point, it's pretty easy to see that it's just to draw a card. That 4/2. I was surprised he didn't use his energy on it though, because he didn't know what was in my hand, so he didn't know I could buff this card. He might have assumed, considering wolf decks are largely about buffing monsters. But now you see my Pack Wolf is more than strong enough to wipe out his Belladonna card. I take that out, and I'm in an excellent field position at this point. I have a 4/6 monster on the field, which is pretty strong. I've got my Wolf on the field, or my Moonstalker has enough Shadow Energy to use its special ability, so I could shield myself from damage if I needed to. So I was actually feeling pretty cocky right here. I didn't really see how I was going to lose this. And then he throws down Shadow Knight, which is Shadow Knight is another excellent card, and he buffs it. Now the problem there is that it now has 7 health and 5 attack power. Or I'm sorry, 7 health and 6 attack power, I believe. So now it's a 6/7, which is more powerful, even with my Full Moon card out on the field. It's more powerful than I'm going to be able to wipe out in one go. So you see me throw on my Deathbone and use my Moonstalker ability to save myself for another turn. Now, Deathbone, in my opinion, is an excellent suicide bomber, because it can do 2 attack damage, and then it does an extra 2 damage in a counterattack if it's killed. So it's a great card to get rid of, the slightly stronger monsters like the Shadow Knights or the Aid on the Braves, monsters that you really want to get rid of but have a little bit more power than you can usually muster, early game especially. But getting into the mid game here, we're going to start seeing some of his more powerful monsters. I do really enjoy those Shadow Knight cards, just because they can help you bring back your main attack force, or if your opponent manages to get rid of your Aeon Stormcaller or Ogolth, the Glutton. I mean, it can pull it right back into your hand, and then they have to deal with that all over again. So you see him use his buff on his Ogolth, and that is an excellent decision. Ogolth's special ability allows him to neutralize or to immediately kill any monster that has a summon cost of that is less than his attack power. So the higher his attack power is, he eventually can just get up to the point where he can nuke monsters no matter who they are. And considering that every time an enemy ally dies, he gains an attack and defense, he can get insanely powerful. That I am happy that I think there is a 10 attack damage cap on this game, or on monsters in this game. There's 10. You cap out monsters at 10/10, which makes me happy, because if you could get monsters up to like 20 attack power, that would be just, if you could get a monster up that high, it would just be over. So you see me wipe out a little bit of his monster's health, and I do eventually decide to just take out Ogolth altogether. And with my Full Moon card, my monsters are buffed up enough to do that. It's a monster that I knew I just had to get rid of immediately, just because of how powerful that card can become, what a just complete danger he can be. But I still do have that Shadow Knight on the field. Now, I do have I did just use my Moonstalker's ability, I believe, which I think was a mistake, though I wanted to make sure that his Shadow Knight couldn't kill my Pack Wolf. That being said, I don't know. It could have gone either way right there. With that Full Moon card out, he couldn't have attacked me personally. So either way. Now this is the problem. He throws out another Shadow Knight and gets his Ogolth card back. Now that's a pain in the butt, because he's obviously gonna play that again, and I'm gonna have to deal with it all over again. The good news is that the second Shadow Knight is not buffed at all, so it only has the 4 defense points. So I do have the ability to take out at least one of them and weaken the other one. Yeah, so you'll see me here weaken the 6/7 Shadow Knight down to 6/3, and then completely wipe his other one off the field with my Pack Wolf. Oh no, I actually go straight for the 6/3 Shadow Knight. My mistake. Which that's actually a sensible decision. It has more attack power, and I do use my Moonstalker ability just to make sure that my Pack Wolf is safe for another turn. Moonstalker, probably one of the strongest champions for ally-focused decks, just because of that special ability that can just shield you from all damage, and it only costs 3 energy. So with a couple Shadow Fonts in your deck, you can go long stretches of just not being attacked, and but it's only going to be one more turn for him before I can do it. Now he does Mind Control me, and that is a problem. Mind Control, yeah, that's a painful card. Okay. So now you see me with 2 Now Your Mind cards, which at this late in the game, not going to be as helpful, which is why you see me get rid of 1. And I don't really have the power to take out his Shadow Knight at this point, because anything I throw down, he's just going to immediately nuke, and he does have enough energy again to buff a monster. So we see that the game is turning against me at this point. That Shadow Knight on the field, I know he's got an Ogolth in his hand at that point, and he has enough energy to play it, and I have no way of neutralizing it right now. Nothing in my hand is going to be able to deal that kind of damage. But we see him play Belladonna instead, probably to draw a card, and Infernal Gargoyle too. So at this point, he's just mustering an attack force, it would seem. And he does wipe out my Wolfen Tracker, which is good because I get to draw a card. It's bad because I now have no monsters on the field against his 3. And that's definitely a problem. So you see me here kind of struggling, not knowing if I should get rid of something. I ultimately decided to skip the sacrifice phase, and I chuck my Shadow Knight out there, and then I protect myself with my Moonstalker ability. Now that was pretty much the only play I had. Now this is something that I wouldn't have advised. I honestly, when people trash talk, when you're losing, it's a response to rage. If you're a fan of BMing and trashing when you're losing, it's because you're angry and you're just looking for a way to vent. I forgive people for that. I often just say, I try to reassure them. I say, hey, you played a good game, or it's okay, you're gonna get better. When people trash talk when they think they're about to win, they're just douchebags. If you trash talk when you're about to win, the whole point of it is you trying to rub it in the face of the guy you're playing against, and it just makes you a twat. And I'm trying to banter here with them. I mean, I personally, nothing gets me more than my enemy trash talking when he's winning. When he's losing, if he wants to be like, "Oh, you suck," he's just mad, and I can understand that. It can be hard to lose. However, he made a big mistake buffing his Infernal Gargoyle because I'm about to kill it. And actually, that made me really happy killing his Infernal Gargoyle with my monster. He probably thought, oh, I have 3 monsters on the field, I'm about to buff one, I'm gonna win. Yeah, not so much. Because now I'm going to use my Shadow Knight to wipe out another one of his monsters, kind of toying with the idea of what to play here at the moment. I do end up going with Bad Wolf. Bad Wolf, one of my favorite monster cards. And, he still probably thinks he's in a great position, but now he's down 2 monsters, and I have 2 on the field. So right there, I've pretty much turned the tables field position-wise. I now have the Superior Attack Force. He's only got the Belladonna card. Either one of my monsters can wipe that 1 card out. And both my monsters on the field right now are significantly powerful. So I still haven't seen his Ogolth card, and that is cause for concern. That is definitely one of the nastier cards in his deck, and I know he's still got it. And there it is. You really want to be careful, and this is the big problem, is that he buffed his Belladonna. Now, he has a lot of shadow energy that he's sitting on at the moment. However, buffing his Belladonna does take it out of the attack range of my Bad Wolf. And that's an issue just because, if I can't kill one of his monsters, his counterattack will kill me. So I get rid of my regeneration just because I'm fine in health at the moment. Obviously, I'm probably about to lose some. But for the moment, I'm okay. Chuck another Bad Wolf on the field, and my Keldor. At least this way I know that he won't be able to kill all of my monsters. And, that 4/7 Ogolth is just one scary customer. And at this point, I can't kill either of them with my Bad Wolf, but I know that if I can bring his Ogolth down a little bit, I can kill him next turn. So I quickly take him out, and he does take mine out, which brings him up to a 5/5. At this point, there's nothing in my deck that he can't kill with his Ogolth special ability. Because after I got rid of my Ogolth, the highest summon card I have is my Summon 5 Shadow Knight. So as you can see, this game has been going just back and forth like nobody's business. Just all game. And now, once again, he's in the dominant field position with 2 monsters out that are both superior to my 2 monsters. However, I do have the card in my hand that will prove Ogolth's undoing. That doesn't change the fact that I'm still not in a very good position attack-wise. Getting rid of his one monster isn't going to win the game for me at this point. But that being said, I encourage you not to turn off the video yet. It may be looking bad for me now, but as the first half of this video showed you, that does not mean it's over. There's still a lot of game to be played, and that's one of the things that I really enjoy about this game is that even as several of my videos show, even if you're at the cusp of defeat, you can still come back and win with the right strategy. So you see him take out my Keldor, and I draw yet another captured prey, which is just gravy at this point. Because no matter what he buffs with it, and he does buff his Ogolth, which is ultimately his own undoing. People usually don't pack cards to destroy attachments. They're pretty situational, so it's kind of, and I do lose a significant amount of health here. I think I go down by 10 or 11 health right now. Just because, and I mean that's just brutal. However, ignoring my Bad Wolf was not a smart move on his part. Just because Bad Wolf is a pretty useful card to have, and if I could keep it alive and put it like a pack alpha on it or something, it can be a pretty formidable foe. Alright, so you see me choose not to sacrifice anything that turn, and immediately neutralize his Ogolth, and then neutralize his, I believe I choose to neutralize his Belladonna. Yep, I do. So I've just decimated his attack force at this point. I mean, it just has nothing there. I do choose to go for him. Now, I want to note, it would have been smarter for me to chip down his Ogolth first, but actually, it could be said either way. It would have been smart because if he did happen to have an attachment destruction card, and yeah, ouch my balls, okay. And actually, you just saw his name, so, I mean, I have played this guy before, and it's just, I couldn't believe that he decided to trash. And that was what I was afraid of. The card he just played is why I was afraid to kill his Ogolth, because with that Shadow Knight card, I mean, he could just get it back into his hand. I'd have to deal with it all over again. So even though I won that small victory over 2 of his monsters, I am now facing down a substantial 3-man attack force led by his Shadow Knight, or led by his 2 Shadow Knights. So I first choose to destroy one of his Shadow Knights with my now 5/7, or I believe it's 5/7. It's either 5/7 or 4/7. I can't see it through some text on my screen, but a very formidable Bad Wolf. So he is in kind of a pickle trying to kill that thing, because once you get a Bad Wolf up that high and it regenerates 1 health every turn, it can be a big pain to get rid of. He does have an Infernal Gargoyle on the field, which has 1 damage reduction. And I am almost positive that my Bad Wolf is 5/7, even though I can't see it. So my Bad Wolf would kill his Infernal Gargoyle right out. It would also kill his Shadow Knight. But if he were to sacrifice a monster getting rid of me, he could still be in a superior attack position. Or at least on even footing, at the very least. The problem he's having is that every time he kills one of my monsters, I draw a card, and that is really giving me some superior field position. So you see me with 2 Bad Wolves out and my Moonstalker, and at this point I think he's just trying to decide who he wants to slice up. At this point, ignoring my monsters would be incredibly foolish. He does get a big edge with Bloodlust that allows him to neutralize both of my monsters in 1 attack without any counterattacking on my part. And this is where things aren't going too well for me, because he does get rid of both of my monsters, no problem. He now has 3 of his own on the field. I do banter with him a little. Just that was not a bad move at all. It was actually pretty good. So you see me. I have 3 monsters, another armor on the field. Now getting rid of that armor wasn't advised because I should have seen what was coming next. As I've demonstrated that armor, that Wrath of the Forest, has just been completely invaluable. But I decide to chuck down my 2 monsters and end my turn. So at this point, I know that those are probably going to get hacked up pretty quickly. But next turn, I should have enough Shadow Energy to protect my Shadow Knight if I were to play that. And nothing on the field could wipe that out in one go, except his Shadow Knight, which I would obviously neutralize. So he buffs up his Infernal Gargoyle, and I found that to be a really interesting choice. He's been buffing those all game. And I mean, with so many, there are a lot of cards focused on destroying weaker monsters just outright so you don't have to deal with them. Infernal Gargoyle may not be his best choice. If he had buffed his Shadow Knight, it would have been a far more formidable opponent. So choosing to ignore my enemies was just downright foolish. It was a very cocky move on his part, I think. I think he was in the mindset of, there's nothing he could play that I have to worry about. Not a good way, especially with my Wrath of the Forest destroyed. Then again, in order to destroy my Wrath of the Forest, he did have to get rid of that armor by attacking me. Still, I would have definitely recommended to him that he attack my monsters, but, hey, he decided to ignore them. So at this point, I'm not sure why it took him so long to end his turn. I mean, very clearly he has no other moves to make. Alright. So you see me pick up another regeneration. Now this was a risky decision to ultimately sacrifice. I thought so. Ultimately sacrifice my regeneration card so that I can play both Shadow Knight, get my Bad Wolf back, but decide not to play it just yet. Or do I? No, I did. What did I do here? I'm sorry. Sometimes it's hard to remember all the moves that I made. I think I play the Bad Wolf and save the Full Moon. Nope, I used my Full Moon, which was actually foolish on my part. But whatever. So I use my Woven Tracker to destroy his Shadow Knight. Yeah, maybe that was the best move. I don't know. Which does draw me yet another card, which is another Full Moon card, so I got lucky on that draw. Now I'm in a bit of a pickle, because my Brutalist only has 3 attack power, 4 defense power. So attacking with it really isn't going to get me anywhere. Unless I attack him directly, which, ultimately I decided to attack his Brutalist. It does bring him down to a 1-1. I'm down to a 3-3 with that Full Moon card out, so. And I use that just so he can't finish the game by attacking me. So, actually, I didn't even have to do that, because with my Full Moon card out, that was really to protect my monsters, I guess. That ability, because if he could decimate my attack force again, I would just be out of the game. So as you can see, I'm back in I have a decent foothold right now. He has a formidable gargoyle out with that buff on him, but I have several monsters on the field. So and with a Full Moon card in my hand, I really stand a significant chance of being able to turn this around. But it really depends on what he plays next. He does have 9 resources, which is enough to play, I think, anything in the game. I don't think anything costs. Actually, I think King's Pride is the most expensive card at 7. But I could be completely wrong about that. At any rate, anything in his hand he can play. So I don't know what he's got up his sleeve at this point. He is obviously in a vastly superior health position. I can't do any, or I mean, I can't say anything about that. I've only got a couple health left. He does chuck down his Keldor and Shriek of Vengeance card, but at this point that was useless because he can't attack me anyway. So throwing away Shriek of Vengeance when he can't even attack me, if he had used that next turn, it could have been even better for him. So you see me draw a Bad Santa, but not use it. And if you're wondering why I didn't use it, it's because right now I'm in a pretty decent position. I really don't need to draw any more cards. As for him, I don't. He has no cards, and I know how he's doing because I can see it, obviously. Okay, so now you see me struggling a little with how to proceed because the attack order is just kind of wonky. So you see me use my, first use my Woven Tracker. I believe I attack with first. Nope, I attack with my Brutalist to, I think I just wipe out his Brutalist. Just nice and easy with it. Man, I really did struggle with this. Alright, ultimately, okay, finally. I ultimately attack his Infernal Gargoyle with my Woven Tracker, which does bring me down to 1 health, but I still live. And it gives me a Pack Wolf that I can just immediately chuck down. I'm up to 5 monsters now that are all will be able to attack next turn. But and with full moon out, unless he draws another destruction card, with full moon out, no matter what he has, he can't attack me. So you see me wipe out 2 of his monsters, and now all he has on the field is a Keldor that can actually attack, and no cards in his hand except the card he's about to draw. So at this point, I am in a very, very superior position. So you see him draw his 1 card. I mean, there's not a lot for it. I don't know what he could possibly have right there. Sorry, my mic cut out for some reason. I have no idea what just happened there. But anyway, so we see him play a Shadow Knight, which is a pretty good draw, and that gives him a monster back in his hand that he can also play, which is his Brutalist. A pretty substantial countermeasure, but unfortunately at this point, I mean, he can wipe out my Wolven Tracker, which is, definitely a bonus for him. But I have such a substantial attack force that I just don't see this going anywhere for him. That being said, it must be brutal considering how little health I have, and I do use my Shadow Font just to give me that bonus energy, just, to put me in an even more safe position. With Shadow Fonts, if you have the energy to play them and you have nothing else to play, there's really no harm in holding them in playing them rather than holding them in your hand. I haven't encountered many people that have Shadow Energy removal cards to weaken champions, so okay. So we see me attack with my Brutalist against his Keldor, and only for 1 damage, but it softens him up nicely for my Bad Wolf to wipe him out. Gives him just enough health to die from this attack. So we see him quickly fall to that. And then we see my Shadow Knight wipe out his Shadow Knight. Quick death. And then my Pack Wolf just weakens up his Brutalist there. Now his Brutalist still is free to attack, and with the buff it would be up to 2 attack power. However, at this point, I think I still have 4 health, and I use my ability anyway, so he couldn't even have attacked me. So there's really not much he can do at this point. I have a pretty solid attack foundation, or a force foundation on the field. My draw engines, both my draw engines are gone, my Wolven Tracker and my Wrath of the Forest, so there's really not a whole lot I can do there. I'm only going to be drawing 1 card a turn, but at this point 1 card is enough. If I was ever in trouble, I do have Bad Santa in my hand, so that would get me 3 cards immediately, and that could be exactly what I need. So I bet right now he's regretting that I'm going to bring the fire trash talk. I really had to resist the urge not to say something back to him at this point. I couldn't believe he took this long with the sacrifice phase, and in a second here I'm going to make a note of that. I mean, he's either going to sacrifice the card or he's not. It should be pretty obvious. I think he was just at this point grappling with the fact that I was probably going to win. And here you start to see me say something. Sacrificing 1 card should not take that long. So he does play something, and because of my chat box, you can't see it, but it is one of those I forget the name of the card, but it has an ability that allows it to deal 4 damage to any hero or ally. So if I had not been able to kill that thing this turn, that would have been exactly the card he needed to kill me. But unfortunately, I did get my Full Moon card, which just guarantees its death. I throw away my Brutalist, just attacking him, just getting him down to 5. And then he's easy prey for either my Bad Wolf or my Shadow Knight. I decide to use my Bad Wolf to attack him, because I have enough attack power to wipe him out, which means that no special ability for you. And then I just use my Pack Wolf to eliminate his Brutalist, and there goes his entire attack force. He has no cards in his hand that he could use, and I am now free to attack him directly with all 3 of my monsters. At least next turn. This turn I get to knock 7 health off of him. He's down to 14 now. So yeah, it's just a very bad position for him. And there we see the surrender. So yeah, if you're wondering why this game was called Smack, it's because he did do a little bit of cocky talking at the beginning. But so my new rating 190. Looks like those deck changes were for the best. And yeah, pretty good game, pretty long game. So if you stuck it out this long, thanks guys. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.